night, good night, good night, good night, good night to my people of St. Martin, everyone listening via the internet in the wider world. Welcome to your favorite online internet program, www.sxmtalk.com. Of course, I'm your host, Christopher Emmanuel, and we've been off for a couple of days. That's because we are doing some serious upgrading in the studio. I have a very good bedroom of mine, a very good friend. I think he himself has been a bit impressed as he walked in and he saw the additions and the new look of the studio. That's the reason why we've been off for a couple of days. But call a friend, call someone and tell them log on now to www.sxmtalk.com because we're going to have a very spirited and interesting program for you tonight. And mind you well, he's my friend, but I don't have to agree with everything that he's talking about. That's the reason why I'm saying it's going to be spirited. Without further ado, of course, let me welcome my good friend to the program, Bakari Arrindell. Bakari, I can't pronounce the last part. Okay? Arrindell Arrindell, basketball, table tennis, community activist, and he's putting on a marvelous show for the people of St. Martin in St. Peter's. We're going to talk about it. But we are here to enlighten you and bring up the whole issue and the talks about Marcus Garvey, because that's what he's about. He's a Garveyite. Let's get into the program. Ricknall, welcome to the program. What's happening, B? Nice having you here again.
Thanks for the opportunity to reach out to your viewers to let them know what's going on in the community very shortly. And as you say, I look forward to the lively and spirited conversation. So let me get at it.
Well, you know how we does do
course,
it here,
naturally.
and most of the times, and whenever, because things have changed, you know what it means, right? When I balance it out like that, I shake my hand like that, you know exactly what I mean by that.
Exactly.
You know, and whenever we do get a little chance to chit chat or put up with us going on all sorts of deep conversation, if it's regarding what's happening here in St. Martin,
Definitely.
if it regards what's happening with our people as a race, as a nation in Africa, Timbuktu, and in Mali with the books and the library. But I know your main concern, I know your life work. I know if anything have to go on where you no longer exist, if it's one thing people would say, right, he was always there to enlighten and uphold the works of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. So tell us, right, your inspiration and your passion. What is it that drives you to bring enlightenment to St. Martin, to the people, about this marvelous gentleman?
Okay. Well, you know, I love Marcus Garvey like cook food. You understand? For the simple fact that I can identify with the Honorable Marcus Garvey on different levels. His humble beginnings, his life experiences, and the fact that he took a very active role in his own education. More importantly, what I also admire so much was that after paying careful observation of the conditions of his people, he realized that the reason why we are weak, the reason why we are oppressed, is because we remain disorganized. And we have adopted this attitude of expecting everyone to do for us what we ought to do for ourselves. What I love most about the Honorable Marcus Garvey is the fact that there was never a contradiction between what he said and what he did. You understand what I'm saying? And when I studied his life, when I read his writings, he provided me with inspiration to the point where it electrified me, to the point where it re-energized me, and to the point where it allowed me to remove every physical and psychological barrier that were erected from my birth or that was erected by society and thing, you know. So that is a motivation. And of course, when something touches you, when you have a good experience, you want to share it, you know, with those around you, because you're hoping that persons will become as enthusiastic, you know, they will become, more, they will receive such a message, and hopefully it might inspire them to see in which ways it could assist them on their life's journey. You understand? Now, you can imagine as a young man growing up in the Netherlands, and particularly when we did not get the type of education where we were able to see strong, positive male leaders. You understand what I'm saying?
So we throw black into it?
Sorry?
Strong, positive, black.
Oh,
male
most
leader.
definitely. I don't cringe from that word.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I find, you say that word 7 times a day, you live long.
Right.
Some people just cringe from it. I don't know why. But, so, strong black male figures, and by reading his works, I got a model. I got advice on how to interpret the world. You understand? How to relate with my own people. The different things I would need to consider if I am to be an asset to my community. You see, so those are the things that I have learned from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and from since September 2003, when I first picked up his book, my life has not been the same.
Let's look at the contradictions though, because I have to ask you this question as
Sure.
it is, because I know you promote the likeness of your kind and the likeness and the inspiration
Yes.
of your people. If I have to Google you or if I have to Facebook you, right, there is everything you'll be showing, from the libraries in Timbuktu, the pyramids in Kush of Sudan and Egypt and
Yes.
Ethiopia, and all the stories with the new fossils of the human that they have found in
Yes.
the lost city and those sort of things. You yourself is sort of a walking library
Okay.
when it comes to inspiration, these things. So it'll be surprising to me to see how you would distinguish the two in terms of honorable leaders. For example, most of us here in the Caribbean would look up and want to fashion our style of living from Marcus Garvey. But if you take the Americans,
Yeah.
they would say, look, listen, W.E. Du Bois is one of their heroes who they would fashion themselves from. And W.E. Du Bois said that Marcus Garvey was a madman. He said that Marcus Garvey was one that you shouldn't follow. He said that this gentleman is crazy and he's just doing a bunch of things that's against black people. So how would you distinguish two black academias,
Yes.
where one is simply saying, listen, upright, you strong people, and move forward, and the other one is saying, don't listen to this dude, he's mad.
Well, the thing is, right? I value and I have high respect for W.E.B. Du Bois. Before you ask that question, it's good to find out why he asked that question.
I mean, I know. Go ahead.
You understand? But you have to remember that Papa Garvey came to the scene and he was gaining mass influence
Right.
rapidly. You understand? And he wasn't afraid to discuss those issues that other race leaders, right, did not want to talk about. W.E.B. Du Bois, he was from the school of thought that believed in integration, with the talented tenth and the reconstruction and everything. Whereas Garvey was like, look here, we have to organize from the grassroots level. You see, I'm not taking away anything from Du Bois, but he was catering towards like the bourgeois, the middle class and
elite.
stuff. You understand what I'm saying? And Garvey was like to the man on the street. You understand? So of course these are two different approaches. And of course, when you have the Jews and Americans who was funding Du Bois, right? He just was saying what he was being paid to say. Ultimately, why I began to admire Du Bois even more was particularly when he realized that, you can integrate how much you want, you can have all the education that you want, but at the end of the day, Garvey was right. You see?
How would you put it in perspective when you get our new modern day leaders and intellectuals would tell you that Garvey was a much better orator than Martin Luther or Malcolm X? Would you agree?
They never
with
hear
those
Garvey
sort of
speak.
statements? Or would you say here it is again, where we have our own kind trying to be divisive in terms of shortening who was good and who wasn't good, to put a wedge in between the love of black leaders?
You see, that's our problem. Because a man can speak good, we get impressed, we get hypnotized, we get gooey-eyed, but what is the content?
Bamboozled.
What is the content? A man can speak how well, he wants, but how is he adding value to the community? Marcus Garvey, right? I'll have you to know and have your listeners them to know, right? He had businesses. He had a Black Star Line. He was basically getting ready to invest heavily in Africa. You understand? He had the Black Crosses, he had the African Legion, he had so many different industries going on. And because the Honorable Dr. King could have speak better, that means he is rated higher than Marcus Garvey. there's something wrong with that person's logic, honestly. I can't see why a supposedly intellectual would say something like that.
Would you say that Marcus Garvey, because, again, this is nothing new, because I know we ourselves, outside of this discussion, we have already had this discussion. And one of mine, and I wouldn't say one of mine, but I would say the inspiration to my thinking when it comes to these sort of things is my good honorable friend Muta Baruka.
Okay.
And when I listen to Muta Baruka, right, he is telling you that because of Marcus Garvey, the people of the Caribbean and Jamaica have found their way as a people. Would you agree with that statement?
I would say that Garvey greatly added to what had already started. You understand? Because before Garvey, you had Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, you had also Sylvester Williams, you had a number of great thinkers. You had someone who even Garvey admired greatly was Blyden, Wilmot Edward Blyden from the Bahamas, So I think that Garvey was able to crystallize, these thoughts, these theories, these ideas, and then create, an organization or structure that would have given life to what these men were saying. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just look at it as a historical continuation. You see? But make no mistake, Garvey did, organize, quote, 400 million people around the world. So, you can't take nothing away from that.
Do you think that he's getting his due recognition, Bakari?
We had this talk at a time. And I think if he was getting his due reward, Burning Spear would have never said no one remembers Garvey. And it is true. And every time I hear that song, my heart breaks, because what the man saying is true. Can you imagine a man that, slept 3-4 hours a day, wrote, agitated, planned, organized, so that we could be, quote, free, so that we could live our life with dignity? You understand what I'm saying? Certain structures that Garvey left gave rise to a Malcolm X, gave rise to a Dr. King, gave rise to the independent nations.
They were
Africa.
Babies, they wasn't born as yet.
As dying nothing because their parents was in the movement. You understand? And as a result, we know that whatever the mother takes in emotionally, psychologically, is imprinted and imparted on the child. So they was Garveyites before they even knew themselves. When I look at the sacrifices, that Garvey made, to the point where he had to give up, he had to choose between his family and the movement. He chose the movement. You understand what I'm saying? So he gave up everything just so that we would be able to be caught in a better position. And then you have leaders making, with their shameless insincerity, doing things that is totally taking us way back than Garvey had ever envisioned.
It is interesting that you bring up that conversation and you say it that way. I think I have a friend who's a bit still cold with me right now on a discussion we had when I told him, I said, no, I don't recognize, and people now who's listening to the program themselves may cringe when I say this because but I'll have to explain where I'm coming from. When I told him, I said, no, I don't recognize Nelson Mandela as my hero. I tell them no. I said because in my opinion, he's not the one that kept that spirit born and fighting. I said my hero in this apartheid race is Winnie. I said that too. I said and I tell it to them over. I said Winnie is the one that kept it going, and they have sidetracked and pushed her in a corner. I say, listen, look at today. He's on his deathbed, really.
Unfortunately,
we unfortunately, and we still want to sort of not want to admit it, but that's what it is.
Look, wait. Let me stick up in here. I don't know much about the individual, but what really had kind of turned me off? Two things, and this is based on what I understood. I have to do further research on it. That when he came out, he kind of was cold with Winnie, for whatever reason, and secondly, he said that he didn't want nothing to do with Marcus Garvey. And I think to myself, but wait a minute, is Garvey inspiration that caused you to fight? You understand? And when I look at it, you stay in jail for 20-something years and you come out and you become president and white people happy,
Mm-hmm.
I find that strange.
Yeah.
I find that real suspicious. You know, it means that you have been seasoned to the point where you are no longer a threat, you know, and that they feel safe with you because ultimately our South Africans or the people from Azania, are they in a better position today?
No.
Economically, socially,
No.
politically?
No.
So, you know, I understand why people, why, again...
Like I say, my friend is cold with me today because
No, but
I told him that.
listen, he's a good, the man is highly intelligent. You know, he struggled. You understand what I'm saying? Respect you because I don't know if I would have come out of jail 26 years later and talk about peace and them type of vibe.
No.
I would be going after justice, I'm telling you, you see? But I don't see how, you know, I don't totally agree with his leadership model.
No,
I don't agree with his
it
model.
either. And
You know?
I tried to show my friend his contradiction. He viewed Margaret Thatcher as being a very good and strong woman.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, and I said, but
The
Margaret,
Iron Lady.
I said, but Margaret Thatcher called him a terrorist.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, you know, but
who basically steal the Falklands.
yes, stole not
Huh?
basically stole it.
The ones them who oppressed blacks in Britain
Okay.
the most.
Okay.
You see, those are contradictions you need to be asking. Not
And
about
that's-
Dubois.
that's what I was-
Not about
yeah.
Dubois and Garvey. Not about Garvey. Like, look, let me get an example. And I know some of my Rastafarian brethren, my incision might get a bit touchy. But we always hear about Selassie going to the League of Nations to petition black. But you never hear about when Garvey went to the League of Nations. You don't hear about that.
This is it.
And what Garvey went to ask for or to demand by the League of Nations was saying, look here, we want the southern West African colonies from Germany because are you bankrupt and now you can't manage it. So we want, he went to demand tangible things,
Mm-hmm.
not to go on some philosophical binge. But you only hear about that. So that's why I say when Burning Spear said nobody remember Garvey, my heart breaks. 'Cause
Well,
it's true.
well, don't let your heart be broken. And I'm going to tell you why.
Talk to me.
Because what you're doing today and what you'll be having over the weekend coming, right, will fill your heart with joy, will fill your heart, right, with gratitude, and you will be vindicated because this is what people is hungry and hunger for, right? I don't want to explain, even though I know because he had me printing the flyers. That's my contribution.
You gotta tell everybody.
You see,
yeah?
but I'll tell you what have me going, right? And we spoke about it before we came on the air. This is a making almost a year ago, you know. And to see you take it and run with it and doing what you're doing, I applaud and I commend. And your roses and flowers is what should be given to you now. You see, because and it may be an insignificant step to those who don't understand
True.
what you're doing, Ricknall, but keep doing what you're doing because we all have our role to play. We all have our purpose, right? And like I said, I would not have been able to pull it off. I'm telling you, I would not have been able to pull it off in the fashion and the manner as to what you're doing. So I'm going to give you the mic to really explain what is happening tomorrow in the community center in St. Peter's and what it's all going to be like. And tell them about the popcorn machine too.
Well, before I get into that, let me just read a short text, you know, that will basically sum up, that will give you the meat and potatoes of this entire event, you know. It's an excerpt from the Honorable Marcus Garvey entitled Marcus Garvey Life and
Show the
Lessons. Sorry. This will be a good... I think every home should have this in the collection, you know. So here it goes. Fellow men of the Negro race, greeting. The time has come for the Negro to forget and cast behind him his hero worship and adoration of other races, and to start out immediately to create and emulate heroes of his own. We must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate to positions of fame and honor black men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history. Sojourner Truth is worthy of the place of sainthood alongside of Joan of Arc. Crispus Attucks and George William Gordon are entitled to the halo of martyrdom with no less glory than that of the martyrs of any other race. Toussaint Louverture, brilliancy as a soldier and statesman, outshone that of Cromwell, Napoleon, and Washington. Hence, he is entitled to the highest place as a hero among men. Africa has produced countless numbers of men and women, in war and in peace, whose luster and bravery outshine that of any other people. Then why not see good and perfection in ourselves?
Nice.
I think that was important. I had to share that with you, because as Chris said, we have this Saturday, the 6th of July, tomorrow, from 5 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. We'll be having our youth movie matinee. Now, as Chris said, this was a year in the making, and as I was sharing with him before the show, that at times you know what you have to do, but for some reason, priorities, as we would say, we keep putting it off.
You have to be swallowed by the whale.
I feel like Jonah, because I felt as if I was swallowed and I had absolutely no choice but to execute this program. And honestly, I'm glad I did at this particular time. Now, the youth matinee as such was inspired by the fact that I've noticed that a lot of the cartoons that our children look at are somehow not culturally conscious enough, particularly for our because of the condition that we are in. I take issue with the fact that some of these quote cartoons, the superheroes are Caucasians, and I'm saying to myself, so why can't black children see black superheroes? You understand? It has nothing to do with racism. It just has to do with self-pride, black love, you know what I mean? That's what it's about to me. So I have, as Chris knows, I have a number of DVDs at home, and I have most of the equipment. And one day I just got up and said, well, you know what? We're going to have the movie matinee. It's all or nothing. And I think that's an approach I had to take a long time. Sometimes I think Jesse Jackson said, analysis is paralysis. Mm-hmm. You understand? And I think that what was happening. I was overthinking it too much. But anyway, that's history. Last month, actually, I had the first one where we looked at a cartoon entitled The Black Panther. And the Black Panther now is regarding an African king who defends his country against Europe and the Vatican.
How was the outcome of that?
Oh, the outcome was nice. We had about 40 persons in attendance, and they loved it. They didn't want to go home. They wanted to see another movie after, but I had to, tell them, well, we wanted to be sustainable, and you can't eat everything on the same day. You have to take it in portions, you understand?
That's just the hors d'oeuvres.
That's just you check it? So, the feedback was amazing. Nice. Right now, when little children see me on the street, they're like, hey, that's the man who organized the movies and thing, And they loved it because they're not familiar with cartoons regarding African heroes. You know what I mean? They're not familiar with this, alternative. Because I think when you know that alternatives exist, you might, make different choices.
What's the cost?
Which cost?
For all that you're putting on in the people.
My budget?
No. What do people have to pay?
What people have to pay?
Mm-hmm.
They have to pay attention. They have to pay attention. That's all.
So that's to tell you guys that there's no cost.
There's no cost.
So there's no excuse.
Look, my point is this, and politics aside, I'm just going to look at the individual. When I was growing up, every December, Rupert Maynard, rest him and bless him, he has something for the children in the community center. I am now 31 years old, and I can still remember that. You understand? I can still remember that every December I would look forward to this particular treat from this individual. Don't ask me nothing else.
So you're continuing that spirit that Rupert Maynard.
But look, let's be real. I am proud of the fact that St. Peter's has produced, some people who was genuinely interested, who was generally concerned about the quality of life in that neighborhood.
Would you be going in other districts?
I would love that.
In other districts?
I would love that. I just need an invitation. I would love that. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I said on Arrindell Moore show at time, I don't see St. Martin as being fragmented, I think this is an open country. I get an invitation to go Grand Cars or Pinella gone. You understand? Because I would want other children to have this experience also. You know why? Because after the first movie, Chris, families that came went home talking about it. That's what you want, the dialogue. Is to get children to start thinking critically about what they saw.
So we're gonna be in the community center. We're gonna be in the community center tomorrow. I'll be coming up with my girls.
Nice.
What am I to see?
What you're going
in the community center tomorrow? You tell me the time. Tell me what we are looking at. Tell me what is it. build up my saying, look, listen, by me missing that.
Okay, let me tell you this, right? We're starting at 5 o'clock. The cartoon that we're looking at is based on a West African folk tale entitled Kirikou. Have you ever heard about it?
No.
Okay, good. Now, Kirikou, right, is this child who tells his mother that he is ready to be born.
He's telling his mother he's ready to be born.
He tell his mother.
He ain't born yet.
He is in his mother's belly. He says, "Mother, bring me forth." Okay? And the mother says, any child that can speak to me from the belly can bring himself forward. And he bring himself forward. And as soon as Kirikou comes into the world, the first question he asks is, where's my father? Because he sees his mother. So where's my father? Mother say, your father died because he went to challenge the evil sorceress and she killed him. Where's my uncle? Where's your brother? Where's my grandfather?
The male.
So immediately, he's not only looking for the male, but he's looking for his identity. He's looking for his purpose. You understand? When he realizes that his mother was unable now to provide those answers and stuff, she said, but you have one more uncle. Where is he? He's going to fight the evil sorceress. So he went and go help. But the gist of the story is this. It's about Kirikou, who overcomes all challenges, all obstacles, and saves his village from the evil sorceress that placed a curse on the village and ends up healing her. That's the story in its essence. You understand?
Good.
And what's going to add much more value to it is that after the movie, we're going to have a discussion. So you're not just going to come and watch a movie and then go back home. No.
It's child friendly.
But of course, I'll tell you one thing. It's a West African setting, and the women are topless. Okay, but there's nothing erotic. You understand? There's nothing erotic about it. It's just about people in their natural environment.
So what age group are we looking for?
Well, to be honest, I'm looking at 3 and up.
Okay, good.
But for the discussion, of course, the older kids will be active in that. You understand what I'm saying? But I think that it would be a good place because our children love cartoons.
So it's an animated series, something we'll be seeing like a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
Good. Would you be having the DVDs on sale? Would you be having? Because you can't simply put on something, get everyone interested, get everyone feeling it, and then we just go home and I would say, boy, I want to see this again. Let me watch it again. There should be something I can take away with besides the knowledge and the hunger for it. There should be something tangible or physical I should be able to get.
I think that the DVDs could be made available, but just at a later time.
Okay.
For the simple fact that, Chris, how I just do my works already. The majority of the work is beyond my shoulders.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So to go produce DVDs and still put the program together and execute it and promote it, it's quite challenging at times. But luckily, I must say I got a great support team, who has helped me out when they
Man, I could have get 50, 60 DVDs burned for you. You could have had them on sale there for $10.
Well, with the benefit of hindsight, I know this now. But don't worry because I have something coming up the end of the month again. You understand? That's a different format. Again, you understand? Because at the end of the day, Chris, when I walk through St. Peter's and I see so much little youths, a lot of people might say, boy, these youths are so idle and thing. You know what I just see? I see opportunity. I just constantly be thinking, how can I engage this little youth man and little youth girl in a way that would add value to their life? That's what has go through my mind.
So then we are looking at this production that you'll be having tomorrow starting at 5. And then at the end of the month, you're also going to have another combination, another cartoon.
Yeah.
So can I say that this will be a recurring event?
Well, let me not. I won't go that fast. Let's just live in the moment.
When are we going to see the big screen in Emilio Wilson with the projection and all the chairs and the popcorn machine and the cars then being parked up and we are actually coming to watch a movie and not just simply going on with Megaplex?
That depends on the demand, yeah?
Demand is there. The demand is there.
I know the demand is there, but a good friend of mine always tell me numbers count. You understand? Once I see that it is consistent, you know, because I'm going to be evaluating it.
Right.
After the discussion, everything, I'm going to have little questionnaires. Let people fill it out. I need their feedback because I want to improve. I want this product, this service, to be the best it can be. Just like how you want Sxmtalk to be bigger than BBC, I'm hoping that one day this will be very popular. It will be a global brand.
When are you going to have a program on Sxmtalk?
When I'm going to have a program?
Yeah.
When I have time.
All right.
You know, I would love to have a program on Sxmtalk.
We have an open slot here on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night?
Yeah.
You want me to come when everybody listen to Fernando Clark?
It don't have to be. It don't have to be that
when
time.
everybody listen, I hear with just being myself.
What are we gonna have as refreshments? Because I mean, I'm coming out. I'm coming out with two young girls, and
You
I
know,
mean,
to be honest, I really love my children, and when I say my children, I mean any child I consider is my child, and I always do my best to cater to them. You understand? And I wish I could provide much more, but in the future I will. But there will be juice. I bought a popcorn machine.
But that's it. Popcorn and the movie goes. That's all we need.
I bought a popcorn machine. I also got some cookies and stuff. So it's very light snacks.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
You know, as I say, it's a beginning. It's a humble beginning. And, you know, that's what's going to be made available. It's for free.
Bakari, are we starting 5 o'clock on the dot? 5 St. Martin time, which is actually after 6 minutes to 7.
Well, you know, the first time we started on time.
Because this is something we need to start to get done.
No. Listen to me. The first youth matinee that we had back in June, we started on time.
Good.
To the point where I think people was even surprised. Because we did it at 3 o'clock. But this time we did it at 5 o'clock.
Right,
you know,
5,
because
6.
of the brightness of the sun, we have a projector. So if the sun is too bright, you won't get to see the movie too well.
Right.
So after having brief discussions and getting their feedback, I thought, well, you know what? Let's put it later, right? It gives more persons enough time to fix up the self-income. And the place is darker so you can see the movie better. All right? So when I consider that,
I keep getting these questions coming through all the time. Who's your sponsors? Who's this?
Who is my sponsor?
He is his sponsor. I mean,
you know, and that's why I said again, you know, because when I look at the life of Marcus Garvey, right? How did he able? I'm not drifting.
back then,
No, hold on. How was he able to accumulate enough wealth to get the Black Star Line? Coins, pennies. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? He did that in the 1920s. 1920s. Okay? So why can't I put together a little youth matinee?
why do you need a sponsor for that?
I am my own sponsor. You know who is my sponsor? My family. Because they have enough patience with me, because when I always buzzing back and forth, they don't give me no hard time. You understand? They don't stress me out. They know what I love doing, and however they can help me, whether it is encouragement, all right, whether it is bringing something, or whether it's just showing up, that's enough for me. You understand what I'm saying? The sponsor thing, because I very think with sponsors.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but somebody wants to make a humble donation, I say I'll take it for this particular purpose, but not to the point where you think you'll exercise influence over the direction of where they say you're going. You're not going to compromise it because it's not for sale.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? I believe in complete independence. Straight up. And, you know, we always have this talk about independence 2020, but we got to start someplace. I'm trying to establish, hopefully, in the not so distant future, you can expect that this will be a Saturday school.
Okay.
You understand? Because the actual name of it is the Marcus Garvey Grassroots School for Education and Liberation. You understand? And we're going to be looking at issues such as identity, culture, history, everything, as well as leadership skills, as well as nation building skills, as well as language and sciences. You see what I'm saying? I forget to mention, the Saturday that we had the first youth matinee, we was given a presentation by Dr. J. Harvester, because I organized 2 events on the same day. All right? And we got a presentation from Dr. J. Harvester. Let me tell you, up to now, the children them are still talking about what they heard. So when people turn around and tell me that our children are not interested in their history and culture, it's a lie. Monday gone, I was at the Emilio Wilson Estate. And when it was time for Dr. J. Harvester to give the tour. Listen, I think the whole of the Emilia Wilson came walking behind of Jay, and it was mainly young people. So I'm going to put it out there. For those of you who are saying that young people are not into history and culture, you're a liar, a blatant liar. Because the numbers them show something completely different. So what I'm saying is that there's a hunger for it. And for me, the true test of the quote, activist, revolutionary, patriot, whatever you want to call yourself, is how you can translate your body of knowledge
to the next generation.
To the next generation. That would be my test to you. Not to come on the radio or be on the soapboxes, making your grandiose speeches. How will it improve the life of the most vulnerable in our society? And if you can't do that, I ain't listening.
Bakari, what we should look forward to tomorrow? What is it I should look forward to coming up with my children tomorrow?
You should look forward to seeing yourself in dignified roles. You should see yourself in the Kirikou, because there is something in Kirikou that will speak directly to you. You understand what I'm saying? I know for some it might be a bit awkward seeing a young, precocious child, overcoming and doing things grown men can't do. But in these times, it is a younger generation who doing things that a bunch of these grown men ain't doing anyway.
Definitely.
You understand what I'm saying? Whether they're tired, whether their spirit is broken or whatever have you. You see, but I expect that when you come with an open mind, all right? And you come to be impressed. Because this is a cartoon that I know for a fact you've never seen it. You've never seen this concept. But the concept I'm talking about, the concept to the point where your child will look at it and see his or her reflection.
Let me try my last question as you relate to Marcus Garvey.
Sure.
Would one of your aspirations and dreams and hopes be to have a Marcus Garvey school on St. Martin from nursery to secondary?
No. I would want to have a Marcus Garvey school where pregnant women will be enrolled all the way to university.
Why?
Exactly, that's what I told you earlier. When a woman is carrying a child, right, whatever she takes in mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is imparted on the child. So if I could get them at that stage, where they are in a safe and healthy environment, there is no doubt in my mind, and science also proves it, that the children them will not be born with any defects, any kind of challenges and whatever have you. You understand what I'm saying? They would get their natural head start. You understand? I believe when a woman is pregnant, you take her out of certain environments. She shouldn't be around a hustle and bustle and thing, eating a bunch of muck. Sorry, you know what I mean? But, we are talking about the one who is carrying, right, the royal bloodline. You can't treat her anyhow. You understand what I'm saying? So I would take the pregnant woman from the time she take the test. I take in her and going straight. Now, some people may be like, yeah, boy, that sounds like a cult. That what Hitler was doing. Listen, I'm into nation building. And your nation can't rise if your women are weak. You can have a strong nation if our women is weak. And I believe it's our job as men to ensure, to get in that support, to make sure that they are strong. Even when they're a bit disgusting when they're pregnant. I mean, that comes with it. You understand?
I didn't say it.
I can think for that. You understand? But that's how serious it is to me. You understand what I'm saying? They are the ones that are producing the raw materials for the next generation. So you can't just treat them anyhow.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So let them be born into this environment, so by the time they go through nursery and kindergarten, it becomes a part of them. It is a way of life. So they wouldn't have to go through the struggle. Exactly. They wouldn't have to go through the warring of two souls like Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois taught us. They wouldn't have to go through the war between the African soul and the European soul. It would become natural to them.
Of who I am.
You understand? It would be natural to support their own people. It would be natural to treat each other with respect. You understand what I'm saying? It would be natural to see God in your own image.
Listen, let me give you the opportunity now, as we come down to the last couple of minutes in the program, to really highlight and elaborate a bit more on what you will be putting on for the people of St. Martin and the community of St. Peter's tomorrow.
Well, as I said again, we're having the youth matinee, all right? And I really want to encourage you to come out and come experience right? This event, because first and foremost, I look at it as a community affair. I find that in St. Peter's, at least, we don't do as much, bonding and interaction on certain levels like before, for whatever reasons. But make no mistakes, if you're living in Marigot or, on the northern side, wherever you are, special invitation going out to Chris Ant, you know what I mean? Dika, right? Yeah, Dika, if you're listening to this, if you see me, come forward tomorrow, expecting you. I have a chair right next to me, just for you, But I want to encourage everyone, because discussions is coming, and what has happened after discussions? You create a, quote, relationship.
And a dialogue.
You create a bond, because remember now, when our Holocaust was a collective experience, so that means liberating ourselves to some extent have to be a collective experience too. Yeah. You understand? And Frantz Fanon, the great Frantz Fanon said that the same way how we were colonized and mentally enslaved is basically the same route we have to use to free ourselves from that mental bondage. So they oppress us and they confine our thinking via the media, via institutions, via education. So we'll have to use those means, that structure, right, in order to deconstruct, right, those mental barriers and that spiritual incarceration that we now find ourselves in. You see, that's my opinion. I'm about taking that body of knowledge and trying and create a program around it, so that it becomes real, so that we can hold on to it. I can't deal with philosophers sometimes. No. You understand? Because philosophers would try and convince you that you're smelling roses when you're surrounded by feces. That's a little joke I have about dollarization in Station. You understand what I'm saying? They want to convince you this is the best thing, but you see for yourself the effects of it. You know what I mean? So, those are some of the contradictions, I still have to work out. But coming back to the point, I'm looking forward to this family affair. I really encourage everyone to come out. As I say, there's no entry costs. Drinks and stuff will be provided, to the best of my ability. And with everyone's support, I know we can make this so great. And we're going to run out Megaplex out of the place very soon.
Well, Martin, people, let me say this to Bakari. I'm going to say to his face as he's here right now, and I mean what I'm going to say. I am not going to have an interview with you anymore. I'm not interviewing you anymore. The program is here for you to have your own show.
Okay.
And you come and do your thing. Don't ask me to come on here anymore. Don't ask me to squeeze you in any longer.
Okay.
Because a time slot like this doesn't do justice. It does not do justice. No, you laughing. I'm not laughing.
I have to laugh.
It does not do justice to what you're talking about. And you and I, we can go in depth in this because my knowledge, as much as I know, still midgets in comparison to what you know. And this is what I'm saying. It doesn't do justice. Just coming here for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and having a simple discussion like this. It needs to be at least once a week. It needs to bring in the youth, bring in and talk, give them this exposure, let them know what is going on. And you're gonna see that the communities will be, when are you coming in Dutch Quarter? When are you coming in Middle Region? When are you coming? Because now you have the medium that can explain and show these sort of things. Even if you got to come here and show one of the clips and show one of the films, let it be done. I understand the time factor because, like you mentioned earlier, we had 3 hours going first, then 2 hours, then an hour and a half, then an hour, then we're down to 30 minutes. But because people don't know what is happening within the program and the structure, we will be back out hard hitting and everything. But I'm saying we have the medium. Let us utilize it.
I agree. Let me say this, Last year, we talked about this moment.
Yeah.
You understand? Last year we talked about this moment. So who is to say next year? But it takes time because I believe in quality also. And I don't like doing things for doing things.
But you said it earlier when you came. You remember our small little.
I remember the little 2x4 and bunch of cords. We lucky to have a fan. You understand what I'm saying? One microphone. You understand?
We coming out tongue wet other person.
You see, but this is what I love. You understand? You start from scratch, and with patience, you build, you improve, you acquire experience, you get support from the most interesting places, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you grow. But
And
yeah.
the thing is, nobody sees the gentleman behind all of this. Eh? No one sees the guy behind all of this who actually comes up with it. And, you know, as annoying as he gets sometimes, right? He'll pick up the phone, Chris, this Saturday. This is what I want done. This is what I want, and this is what coming. And what you're seeing here is because of his demand
Of
when he
course.
said he want this.
But
done.
how else we can get things done? Listen, I just say,
That's
I
it.
mean, I want to get to thing now, but I just always say sometimes we just need to be able to shift between being a diplomat, dictator, and a democrat. Sometimes you have to be one of them. You know, people might tell you when I doing stuff like this, I can be a dictator.
That's when it needs to come out.
Because for me, it's like it's either now or never. You understand? But we need to do this. You see, other time I can be diplomatic. Well, you know, we can consider. Other times, you just have to make a move. If you want something bad enough, you have to make a move. Like I was giving Wendell Moore a joke at time. I said, boy, you ever see a beautiful woman? You ever see a beautiful woman that you just had to have? You ain't going to stand up on the side, wondering and twiddling your fingers. You're going to be like, boy, I just have to talk with her. I'm going to make up something, right? Even if it's a weather or she shoes or she perfume, you're going to make up something to get her attention, right or wrong?
Yep.
So why not see these projects or these initiatives with the same type of energy and interest and thing? You understand? At the end of the day, right, you don't know whose mind you are feeding.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? As I give the example, I say Rupert Maynard. I don't know nothing about the man. He got some businesses. He was a dark guy. He seemed ambitious to me. But one thing I remember, those Christmas parties. I always got a gift. I always got a plate of food, and I was entertained. And today, I'm hoping to pass it on to somebody else. That's our culture, Chris.
Yes.
That's the continuity that we always talk about. You see, we always talk about grooming, other leaders, blah, blah, but we're doing it right now. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, somebody can say, boy, you know what?
You remember
Me and my
this?
father used to listen to Chris, and you know, we always used to discuss. You don't know.
Yeah.
And my thing is this. I say that in 100 years from now, I want to look back and say, I have made that
culture.
which was straight.
I had a woman stop me in town and say, I was listening to you on the radio, and on you said Martin talk, thing that you got here,
Yeah.
but you're too biased.
Well,
You're too biased. But I
that's
can't
right.
get my son away from listening.
Yeah.
So I tell her, I say, but if I'm too biased, why you still listening?
turn it off.
Because I say, okay.
It's sweet.
I say, all right. I say,
Uh-huh.
don't worry, that's good. Yeah, but you're too biased. You're too biased. But my son always watching it.
Well, you see,
know, so.
it's like when I have conversations with Bible readers, you know, they know my position already, but they would still ask these questions.
Yeah.
You know, like they would ask, what gender you think God is? And for spite, I would say a woman. You know, and they can't handle that, for example. You understand? But because you're saying things that they think about, but might not say,
Might not say
and
it.
that
Yeah.
attracts them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because they live vicariously through you.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? But that's the next discussion. Maybe we talk about that.
Well, St. Martin people, there you have it. And that's why I said I'm not going to interview him anymore because our time doesn't do justice. Bakari, thank you very much for being on the program.
Give thanks,
brother.
man. Give thanks. Give thanks.
All
It mean a lot to me.
St. Martin people, take care of yourself. God bless each and every one of you guys. See you tomorrow. Community Center in St. Peter's, starting at 5. Goodbye.
There was a time when people dare not utter a word. There was a time when people were in the dark and searching for accurate information. Just when all hope is lost and frustration hangs in the balance, Sxmtalk emerges and broke the silence. Join host Christopher Emmanuel for live and serious discussions and hard talk.